G'day everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do something different in this video that I started getting to in an earlier video and the stuff I got didn't work. So I've still got this little piece of copper PCB that it was just an offcut and I was going to use it to make breakout boards basically. It's a little bit dirty, so I'm just going to give it a little sand up. Just a quick clean. And I did some research and apparently Luma color pens work better than Sharpie with ferric chloride. I found with ammonium persulfate, what I was using before, I found Sharpie works better than Luma color, but we'll give it a go. What I might do actually on this, because I can still see the outline on this where I need to trace over for the pads. I don't know if you guys, yeah, you can see that. I think what I'll do is we'll do 2 of them in Sharpie and 2 of them in Luma color. So I do have both pens here. Just selecting one with a fine tip. Okay. Alright, I've got both here. I've got 2 different thicknesses of Luma color and the Sharpie, it's brand new. So when you want to etch a PCB, what you want to do, if you're doing it by drawing, not with a what do you call it, photoresist, then what you want to do is you want to cover the area that you don't want to have etched with your Sharpie. So whatever copper you want left remaining is the area that you leave. I mean cover, sorry, cover. That's what will be left, is what I was trying to say. You want to make sure it's covered well too. I am finding it a little bit hard to see what I'm tracing over here because it barely got etched previously before with that solution that wasn't working. So there's not much here in terms of copper that got eaten away that I can see, but there's just enough. And I don't care if they don't come out perfect. They're only breakout boards for testing components on. Still neat enough. I'll do this one in Sharpie too. That'll do. Alright, switch over to the Luma color now for these 2. So the limit colour, I find I've got to go over it twice for it to deposit enough down for me to be happy with it. I find the Sharpie seems to work better. I think that looks quite similar on camera, probably even to my eye, but I have sort of tried to go over the Lima color a little bit more to reinforce it. So we'll see how it goes. There you go. Not only you get to learn how to etch PCBs at home in this video, you get to find out which marker is better for it. It's a 2-in-1 video. Alright, I know that last one's not too neat, but like I said, these are only breakout boards for testing components with odd footprints that I've been running into lately and needed breakout boards for. So that is literally as simple as that part is. You just have to cover what you want left. The next part is also quite simple. That goes in there. One moment whilst I get the ferric chloride. I'm just giving this a quick shake because this is pre-mixed, but if it's not pre-mixed, you need about 30-40% plus with water. The ratio of this to water for it to work. Now you can heat it, but not like the ammonium persulfate. Even that, you've got to be quite careful how hot you let it get. What on earth? Oh no, I've done it again. I've left my desoldering gun on. The heating element and those things don't last too long, so I try not to leave that on. Anyway, I've got a heat plate here. It takes a while to warm up. Whoops. All it's going to really do, to be honest, is bring it up slowly to, lukewarm, if that. It might not even get there. I doubt it'll do anything at all, but the process can take about 20 minutes, so I thought I'll stick that under it. I'm just getting it on ready. I'll pause the video whilst this starts to come up to temperature. Alright, it's already starting to get warm. I want to get this done fairly quick. I'll have to turn the board heater on and off because I don't want to melt the plastic. But like I said, I just want something warm underneath it. Now we'll tip the ferric chloride in. That should be more than enough. Just need to get the board in it and not let it come back out. Now let's hope this works. I'm just going to turn my fume extractor up higher. Sorry about the fan sound, but I don't want the off-gas fumes that this is going to leave in my lab. And me. I'm standing right here. So I can already see that that's etching, so this is great news. Unless that's literally ink dissolving and coming off that I just saw when I moved it. No, I can see something coming off the corner of the board where there is no ink, so I excuse me, I think we're good to go this time. Yeah, you see that stuff coming off? I think it is working. Oh yeah, that's working. You can see that. Now I know this is way more ferric chloride than what I need for this little piece of board. I'll do another couple of little bits out of it probably, if that's possible. Some solutions you can reuse, others you can't. I'll have to check it out and see if you can, but I'm only doing it for this video. I couldn't find, it's not I couldn't find, I don't have a smaller container than this, and I guess I could have propped it up on its end. Oh well, it is what it is, it's all good. I'll just be happy to show you guys the etching process, because I tried to do this video a while ago and the stuff I used to etch just did not work. I'm just going to turn this board heater off because it's going to be quite hot by now. I don't want to melt the plastic tray. It will eventually get up above 175 degrees if it's left on long enough, or depending on what the voltage on the power supply is set to, but yeah. I designed it to run on about exactly 24 volts, and it sits there at 175 degrees, but the power supply you can turn up a little bit more, so you can turn it up probably 250 degrees, I'm not sure. I made it so that when I have to work on a board that's like a foam board or something similar to that, that's thick, and I can't get enough heat into it from the hot air gun, I can stick that underneath it, wait for the board heater to heat up, and then put the board on it, heat the board up, and then come in with the hot air, and it's usually just enough to do it. Oh, no. That is the worst thing to have happen. Well, I don't know. So with ammonium persulfate, if the board gets lifted out, all the Sharpie all of a sudden lifts off. I don't know that that's the case with this stuff. Some Sharpie just got exposed, and I'm not seeing it lift off. In actuality, I can tell you now, I can see through this, and I can see the Sharpie and the what do you call it? I've forgotten what it's called. Lumicolor. I can see both of them, and they're both still on there. They haven't lifted at all. The ammonium persulfate's really terrible with that. That is doing a beautiful job. We're about halfway there. What I'll do is I'll bring the light down for you guys, because whilst I might be able to barely see through that, I doubt you guys can see on camera too well. Just give me a moment. So do you see around, starting from the edges of the board, how you can see through it basically? It's disappearing. There's that darker colour in the middle, and you can see the Sharpie that I've drawn. So that's the solution eating the actual copper on the board. Hence the name etching. I'll just refocus that image, and I'll lock it like that, just so you can have a little bit of a better view without me making it too bright that it swamps your screen out. I'm going to turn that board heater back on. I'm just starting to feel the edges of the tray sort of feel like not cold anymore, so we only want to be around 35-40 degrees at the most. I mean, you can do it hotter, I've heard of it, but what's recommended is 40 degrees, and there's probably a reason for that. I haven't done too much research yet. This is the first time I've used ferric chloride. I've used a few sodium products, and I've used ammonium persulfate, but not ferric chloride yet. And so far I can tell you I'm very, very happy with it. Very happy. I could not be that rough with the board, even with ammonium persulfate, without all the Sharpie lifting off. None of the Sharpie is lifted off this at all, or the Luma column, neither. And there was a few areas where I went back over it twice to make it thick, but I left some areas, as you saw me doing it, some areas I just went over once, and some areas I went over twice. So I left thicker and lighter areas, and this is doing a good job, and that's great news for me, because one thing I had a problem with ammonium persulfate was I'd have to really make sure the Sharpie was down thick and solid, otherwise my traces would be messed up, you know. The Sharpie would lift in places and the traces would be too thin, so I couldn't run 0.5 mil, 1 mil traces. With this, as you can see, the marker's staying on the board beautifully. So, you know, I can do some, I can pull the whole thing out and put it back in, and you see that? We're almost done too, but yeah, it's not lifting. So, if you're watching, Tanmera Tech, thank you so much for recommending that I use ferric chloride, because I started using sodium persulfate, and then just from the internet it was recommended using ammonium persulfate, so I bought that at JCar, and it was you who recommended that I get ferric chloride. I took your advice, and look at this. So thank you so much. Honestly, it actually means a lot to me, you know, like, yeah. It was a real pain in the ass not being able to etch boards, let me tell you. I've been etching boards for quite some time, and then all of a sudden the last 6 months I've tried to etch a board, every single one just didn't etch. The solution just did not work. So I'm really pleased with this, and as you said, it seems to be indestructible in terms of, you can mix it up with, you could probably piss in it and it would work, you know, like, it's really good. As you can see, the Sharpie's not lifting off. Yeah, I can't thank you more. Great advice. And we're done. I've just got a little bit of residual on there that you guys can't see, but I can. I'm just going to leave it for another minute or two, move it around, and then we'll take it out. I should be able to etch some more boards in this, because from what I can see, the Sharpies are not dissolving, and that was the main problem with all the other stuff that I'd used, or the ammonium persulfate, was even though if you don't dissolve enough copper into it, the solution still works. You could etch another board. Sometimes you've got to make it a little bit stronger, sometimes you don't, depends on how much copper you try to etch into it and how much is already in it. But the problem I did find was, once Sharpie had come off into it, if you put another board into it and tried to etch it the second time, the Sharpie would instantly dissolve. So once the Sharpie had mixed in with the solution, it would start to eat other Sharpie. And I can see this is not going to do that. So yeah, that's wonderful. I'm really pleased with this. Again, thank you so much for the recommendation. Because I've only used 2 or 3 chemicals for etching, and it was only the ammonium persulfate that I've been able to source constantly in quantity, and that's what stopped working for me, so it was a bit of a problem. Oh, sorry, I made it run, it levels out at 185 degrees at 24 volts. I'm just going to go wash this board off. I'll pause the video and put this back, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, so once you've got your board washed and dried, what you want to do is come in with some tissues and some IPA, because the IPA will take the marker straight off, giving you your copper. Like so. Sorry about that. And that's how you etch a circuit board. It really is that easy. So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I want to encourage people to do it themselves. I don't know why people send stuff off to PCB way. I don't know. I'm old school. I like to draw circuits up by hand, and I enjoy drawing the board, and etching it takes, minutes. So anyway, that is how you etch a circuit board. And then, you can leave the copper exposed, or you can tin it up, obviously. It's up to you. After that, I can tell you, I'd say use Sharpie or Lumo color with ferric chloride, because from what I just saw, there was no difference between either of the two. But I can tell you with ammonium persulfate, Sharpie's better than Lima Color, but both of them are not very good. So yeah, and yes, this is completely ready to use now. You don't have to do anything else to it. Once you've taken the Sharpie off, it's ready to go. So if you want to tin up traces, you can tin traces up. It is ready to take solder. I didn't want to put all that solder on there. I was just doing it to prove to people who have not seen this before that the board's ready to use straight away. I preferably want it as flat as I can get it, because it's a breakout board for testing SMD components. Whatever. But there you go. That is how you do it. It's not hard. So give it a go. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.